Alright guys, we're back again. Today we got a call from a landlord saying the tenant called them freaking out that the drop ceiling half fell in the kitchen and something was leaking. So once we get there, we're lucky enough the drop ceiling's already out, but above that they had like existing sheetrock or ceiling tiles screwed onto the joist. So we ripped that out and we saw that the tub was leaking. So it has been leaking for a while. It's just so many layers on the ceiling that it was holding the water. So once we got here, as you can see, it's all copper, so we have to cut everything out. So we start cutting everything out. My guy's up there taking out the trim so we could drop the whole trip waste and we could start working from scratch. Once we drop that trip waste, we got to clean up the tub, make sure there's no residue left. This tub is some cheap steel tub and it had real thick insulation. As you can see, the drain right there is real indented. It had a good maybe 1 inch of insulation. So when I went to go install the drain, it barely almost cleared. It barely hit the PVC. So I almost got my Dremel out and cut the insulation, but the PVC just made it, so I didn't have to do that. So just keep that in mind, guys. If you have a real cheap tub like this and it has full of insulation, you might have to scrape some off. So another thing, you guys in the comments below, some of you guys said, oh, you shouldn't dry fit, you waste too much time. I don't dry fit. As you can see here, I use test pieces. So I use 2 test pieces, one for the drain, one for the overflow to get the measurements. Once I take the measurements, that's all I do. I primer everything up, cut the pieces, and I start gluing. Dry fitting to me is if you cut the pieces and you put everything back together to make sure everything lines up. Some guys like doing that. Me personally, I have a pretty good couple months of experience and I don't need to do that. Some guys feel comfortable doing it. Just do it. It's not a problem. It just takes a little time. At least you know it's going to fit right and you're good to go. Because once you glue it, you're done. It's real hard to take it out and you're going to have issues. So again, I start gluing everything up and it's going nice and smooth. And when I determined everything was glued, I go see, and the PVC almost going to hit that 2.5 inch copper 90. So I was a little nervous. I thought I was gonna have to cut everything out because it was gonna hit, but anyhow it didn't hit and I made it. I had told the landlord to see if he wanted to cut all that copper out, change it out to PVC. He said no, it's a rental property, it's not leaking right now. If it does in the future, I'll give you a call. If you saw in the beginning of the video, there was a connection far back into the ceiling. Somebody had used Fernco from PVC to copper. That's not the right connection. Make sure if you're going to connect it PVC to copper, use the right termination. So it's a copper by PVC no hub. Some guys call it a mission coupling. As long as it has usually it's an orange sticker on it, copper to PVC, you're good to go. That's the right way to do it. So as you can see, that's what I'm tying it right now. And no guys, I don't use a torque wrench. I use a screwdriver and impact. As long as you have the right feel to it, no issues. This is another little trick I use when I'm measuring for a trap between the U-bend and the TY or the U-bend, whichever you're gonna measure to the piece. I use a level, measure the piece, and that's gonna give you the piece exactly the size you need. You don't need to guess, try to dry fit it in there. The level does a beautiful work. All right, guys. So everything's all glued up and ready to go. My guy's finishing up the trim. We tested it and everything's spotless, no leaks. If you live in North Jersey, need some plumber work done, residential or commercial, let us know and we'll take care of you. See you on the next one. See ya.